Gundam.tk presents High Grade G Bouncer. Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert 184, 2Rs, 2Bs, GundamReviews.net, and it's great to have you here as I'm taking a look at the newest High Grade 1/144th Gundam Age model, number 14 in the series, the G Bouncer, probably one of the worst names in all of Gundam. This first came out in February 2012. And it sells for 1,500 yen. Here you can see the name bar and number 14 in the series as mentioned with some pretty cool cover art there. Wolf has really never looked cooler, and that clear green part that we're about to get is going to be a lot of fun. In terms of picking up this model, there was no doubt in my mind that I'd want to, especially with Wolf Eniacal being one of the highlights for me of the first generation. He was one of the few guys to actually have two mobile suits in his trademark white color. First he had the Genoese Custom before moving on to the GXs, and now it's time to move on, as you've seen, to the Bouncer. As we take a look around the box, you can see the A plates laid out there with you're going to have some beam sabers, clear green there, and some white it looks like on the A plate to go along with a lot of white and gray parts. And then you get to see a front view of the G Bouncer, which despite its name, I'm pretty impressed with the way it looks. Especially that chest section, we'll have to see how much gray actually comes through. The rifle's looking good, but as mentioned, the best part has to be that green clear effect part that's going to be sticking out there. And overall, it just brings a lot of much needed color to Wolf's all-white suits. On the back, his thrusters have been getting progressively bigger. The GXs had some pretty huge ones, but these are getting absolutely massive, and it'll be interesting to see how they're going to work out. And pretty much similar to everything we've seen in High Grade Age, dynamic posing is the name of the game, and Bandai has pulled it off well with these Age kits. Now, something that I'm a little bit disappointed with is he has always had his seal on his shield, and you can see the mark down there, but what they've done instead of giving you a seal is they've just made the shield in the shape of it, and then you can actually take off that shiggle blade or the shiggle blade or whichever you want to call it. And unfortunately, when you do that, you're not going to have the same shape, but I wish they'd be giving you a seal as well. The Dodds rifle, good to see that that's been passed on after a quarter century. It can go on to the back, you can see some thrusters there, and this is going to be Senyo or custom for the G Bouncer. And then you're going to be getting a third fist, it says there, so you can have a closed angry one. And something that's sort of impressive is that backpack. You can see that it's going to open up and reveal some vents, and you can actually take it off and put it on the high-grade Adele if you want to give it some more mobility. And cool poses, yes, the high-grade Age line, and especially Wolf stuff have certainly not failed in that regard. To the other side, where you can see the weapons he's got there, the Dodds rifle, shield, shiggle blade, and the beam saber. And again, some pretty cool looking line art with that chest really being the focus. You can see him here graphicked up fighting the Dorado, which is all looking good. We didn't get to see much of his debut in the anime in the first episode, he just sort of hopped along. But over here you're going to have an unpainted one, and you can see that the chest is going to come through clear green, the Dodds rifle is going to be good in gray, and the head, it looks like it's going to have some clear blue, or not clear blue, but maybe some hard blue, like we've seen with the advanced grades, but overall it's looking pretty good. But lining will certainly help bring it alive, as would a seal, which is sadly not included. Inside the box, when you open this up, you're going to be getting polycaps on the top, seals. You can see 4 colors there on the A plate, including that hard blue or teal if you want to call it that, white beam sabers, and then you're going to be getting white and gray, so 4 plates, 3.5 really, to go along with the manual. The first thing you'll notice when you take out the plates is that there's a lot of open space, which just leads me to believe, similar to what we saw with the Genoese Custom, becoming the Genoese 2s and things like that, that there's probably going to be a variation in the future. You've got some white on there that could easily be turned into something else. This green down here, if you're used to what the green we've seen with the Master Grade 00 or Quanta and things like that, it's going to be a very light green in comparison, and you can see that it sort of goes under the nameplate, so you can imagine that that could be disappearing on a mass-produced one in the 3rd generation. You're going to have some big parts here, I'm assuming that's for the back, and some other interesting looking white parts down here, and that blue part, if you've built some advanced grades, will be very familiar, and it looks like it's going to be providing both the camera lens and the eyes. The B plate is all white, as is to be expected from a Wolf custom suit, and you can see some pretty cool looking shoulder shapes there, the legs when you're putting this all together. The head parts are looking pretty impressive. I'd like to see the way this front is going to be put on here, and whether we'll get a clear part or something like that on the mass-produced one in the future. But these big parts here for the shoulder, or for the backpack thrusters, and for the chest, it looks like some parts are just going to plug in there to the front. I can't wait to see how that's going to actually work out. And otherwise, everything is looking very good for a Wolf suit. And this is the plate I'm talking about when you can imagine that this custom wolf-shaped shield is going to be replaced by something else up here which will belong to the grunt suits. But overall, this is looking pretty good. You can see a lot of details in here, lots of lining opportunities as well when you're going to put this whole thing together. The back isn't going to be gray, which is somewhat disappointing, but still, it's going to look pretty good. You could paint that up if you wanted to, and otherwise, all the small parts are exactly as you'd expect. The D plate is going to provide the only color outside of the A plate, and you can see the parts here for the Hyperdod's rifle and everything that you've come to expect from the waist sections from an age kit. You've got that separate set of hips, very similar to the high-grade 00s, and otherwise that rifle has lots of lining opportunities and should look pretty good once he's armed up. Standard set of PC001 for the polycaps and SB9 for the beam sabers, and those are the flat variety. It's once you get to the stickers that you'll be a little bit disappointed though, because that nice part of the chest that's supposed to show off is actually just going to be a seal instead of an actual piece of plastic. So you put on the white part there that you saw with the 2 holes, put on these black seals, and then put another white part on top of it. There's a couple other parts there just for some extra color, and the green for the camera lenses and the dods. Loving that cover art so far, and you can see the Adels back there in their cool purple colors. Before you get to see how Wolf is aged in the 2nd generation, they're going to talk about him, the G-Bouncer itself, and his personal mark. Before going inside to the color splash pages with some great looking poses there with an action base, you can really do some cool things with this vertical. And you can see some of the other pilots from whatever they're going to be doing, since we haven't quite seen them arrive yet in the anime. I'm talking about Alyssa here and Max to go along with Asum Asuno, the new lead character. Here everything's looking good for the Bouncer, and you can see the double bullet, which is going to be the second wear for the Age 2. To go along with the normal, we've got the Adele in its regular green colors and the Genoa's 2, which is a take on Wolf's first mobile suit. Down here you can see the mechanics with the head looking pretty good with some very cool bat-like wings on there. The shield again, Dod's rifle, beam sabers, they seem like they've taken a step down compared to the fangs, which were the feature for the GXs. Cool pose overall, again a red mark would really be a nice thing, and there you can see the progression in his mobile suits, and if you want to paint this guy, you only need 3. The Dod's rifle is supposed to be a different color from the gray for the inner parts. Inside you can see the plates and imagine how they'll change in the future, and after that it's pretty much build the chest, build the arms, and once you've done that, and you've got the lower body, you can just build up the thrusters, attach those onto a simple backpack looking mechanism, put some seals on the Dod's rifle, put the shield together and that green part inside. You can see that the beams are going to be made out of 2 white parts and how you can attach them into the side skirts. And overall you're just going to do the old wrist switch thing if you want to get the shield on depending on which side. And they're just showing off that the thrusters can go, and yes, action base 2, those are your friends. So that'll wrap up my unboxing of the G-Bouncer, and there's some good things and bad things going on with it. Of course, the kit and the build and everything for the manual looks pretty sharp. Would have liked to have a mark, as I've seen. The green is just a little bit too light for my liking, but we'll see how that's going to work. And it is cool that they threw in that 4th color on the A-plate to give you the camera lenses. Anyway, how is it going to stack up compared to Wolf's other suits? And of course, how is it going to debut in the anime? Can't wait for Sunday's episode to see how that's going to be. But in the meantime, don't forget to check out back here, and you can see the parts, the mobile suit, and my final verdict on this. Anyway, everybody, please let me know what you think with a comment down below. Robert184, Gundam.tk. See you next time.